off with the concept of what's different about strategy today. And I would argue that when I first started in the field of strategy, which is probably longer ago than I really care to remember, it was a very deterministic thing almost. And the concept was you found an attractive position in an attractive industry. So you grew as your industry grew. Then you threw up barriers to entry like crazy. And you got to exploit that competitive advantage for a really long time. And so the holy grail was to create this thing called a sustainable competitive advantage. You've all heard of that, right? That's a beautiful thing if you can find one. But if you're in very stable fields like healthcare or advertising, you kind of know that model is not where you're living right now, right? And so we need a different way of thinking about strategy. And in fact, I would argue that model, that framework, is really almost a trap.
Where you thought, okay, I think we've reached, like, we're here. Not a lot, really. I don't sort of think that way. I don't sort of look up too much. I don't look down too much. It's the great fun is doing what you do every day. And so yeah, I'm sort of a poster child for not sort of doing anything but what we do, every day. So no, I don't really think about it a lot, no.
I mean, do you get the sense that at this point, with what the BlackBerry itself, that device has done for your company, that it's a matter of time before other people, like the iPhone didn't really do it. I mean, like, do you ever look at it and go, what are we going to do if this isn't our primary business, growing RIM beyond something like a BlackBerry?
No.
So 2008 being notable for being the year that followed on 2007, which was when the iPhone was first introduced and Android was commercialized. So really ushering the age of supercomputers in your pocket, which never existed before. So this was a whole year after that. Now this is one of the really super interesting things about strategic inflection points. We sit here now in 2020 looking back and going, oh my God, how could he have missed that? But if you think about it, that was still the weak signal stage. If you cast your mind back, this is hard to remember now, but if you cast your mind back, the initial iPhones could not be used in a corporate setting because the security wasn't good enough. So the very first iPhones, all the way up through, I think, iPhone 6, couldn't be used in corporate. They weren't secure. And so BlackBerry's basic mindset was, we have the corporate market to ourselves. And they actually said this. They said, how sweet that consumers are now going to have extra choice. Isn't that nice? And this is one of the dilemmas, right? When you're looking at something that's a threat on the horizon, often in the early stages, it isn't ready yet. It's not ready yet. But you have to be thinking about, where is this thing going to evolve to? And just to sort of add to that thought, this is a picture of BlackBerry sales. Now, as I said, that interview was taped in April of 2008. Look at BlackBerry sales for the next 4 years. Right? I mean, straight up. And they didn't really start to get into trouble, as I said, until Apple really crossed over into the corporate market. And we started to see people comfortable with bring your own device to work. Same thing with the stock price. That interview was taped April 1st, 2008. Stock went up after that to about June of 2008. Then it kind of hit the 2008 recession. And then we had this kind of gradual, and then boom, off the face of the planet. So I'm not here saying Jim Balsillie was an idiot, not at all. His company changed the world. He did something really remarkable in terms of how we communicate and how we do work. And yet, eventually the inflection point of supercomputers in your pocket rolled through. And I think that's an example I like to bear in mind when I think about strategy today. And we think about what the pattern is of strategy today. And my fundamental argument is, today we need to be thinking about the full life cycle of a competitive advantage. And that's really different from this notion of sustainable advantage that we've had historically.